Is your Series X about to shrink? We can finally throw out our TV remotes. Certain Affinity and Microsoft's relationship seems to be heating up, and you won't want to miss the spring sale that's going on in the Microsoft Store right now. Let's discuss. So last Wednesday, Xbox rolled out a cool little feature that you might be missing out on. If you go on over to Settings, TV and Display Options, and hit Device Control, you'll see something new. You'll see something called Switch TV Input using Controller, and it has a little empty checkbox next to it. When this is on, pressing the Xbox button on your controller will switch your TV input to the console. While this feature isn't going to break the internet or anything, I think it's a cool quality of life improvement that further consolidates the many remotes that you probably have sitting around your house. For example, say that you're downloading a pretty big game on Game Pass. You could play another game, but as we all know, that slows the download speed. Now with this new feature, you can take your Xbox controller, hit the Xbox button, and switch your TV's input back to cable TV, or if you have a smart TV, and once that game is finished downloading, you just take your controller again and switch your TV's input back to your Xbox. I personally think this is a great idea, especially for me. I'm always losing my TV remote. It's one of those things where it's like I put it down, and then when I look for it again, it's like teleported magically to like another room or under the bed or in my closet. But I never lose my Xbox controller. I never lose track of them. I can't tell you why. I don't know if I've developed like some psychic connection with my controllers, and now that I can control my TV's input using just my Xbox controller, that's pretty cool. If you want to use this feature, make sure your Xbox is completely updated. Go on over to Settings, System, and then check the updates for yourself to make sure. You also have to make sure that HDMI-CEC is enabled. So in order to do this, go to Settings, General, Sleep Mode and Startup, TV and AV power options, and then check the HDMI-CEC box. This video is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. Raid is the first game to bring a true console-level experience to your phone. Explore millions of champion combinations and master countless tactics as you take on raid bosses, dungeon runs, campaign battles, and PvP arena matches. With hundreds of artifacts to equip and over 600 champions blessed with unique skills, you can build your team, develop your champions, and raid your way. I like to rotate in the Royal Guard. He's an epic hero that has proven to be pretty useful. His standard attack automatically applies a defense debuff, and that has proved really helpful and try to stack as much DPS as I possibly can. And honestly, dude, I just like the way his armor looks. Another champion I've really grown to appreciate is Raglan. One of her skills literally removes all the debuffs that have been applied, and she also has this really awesome revive ability. And again, the armor is clean. Now, this month is very special because Raid is celebrating their 3-year anniversary. And to celebrate, Raid is rolling out their first ever champion skin. Skins let you alter a champion's appearance to something that suits your style and preference. So usually in Raid, you can equip things to your heroes, but it doesn't change their appearance at all. Now with these skins, we can finally change that, like these ones for the Arbiter. Now if you've had any interest in trying out Raid Shadow Legends in the past, now might be the perfect time, because if you click the link down in my description or scan the QR code right here, you'll get a free starter pack worth almost $40. That includes 3 free champions, Misericord, Tiger Soul, Romero, and you get 10 Magic XP brews, 10 Force XP brews, and 10 Spirit brews. All this and more is waiting for you, and it really is that easy. It's just click in the description, scanning the QR code, and claiming what is rightfully yours. See you in the game. A job listing for Texas-based video game developer Certain Affinity that was tweeted out by a notable leaker. I might be totally butchering his name. He goes by @Clobril on Twitter. Anyway, the screenshot that he tweeted out has stirred up a lot of excitement in the Xbox community. The job listing in question is this one that is looking for a senior graphics engineer. Now, at some point, apparently this job listing specifically was mentioning that they want people with direct Xbox knowledge. But if you check it out now, there's no mention of Xbox. I don't know if they edited it out. I don't know if it was a mistake, but they do make a lot of mentions of this new IP that Certain Affinity is working on. Now, chances are, if you're an Xbox fan, you're familiar with Certain Affinity's work, even if you don't know them. They've been working as a support studio for the Halo franchise as far back as Halo 2, and they have recently been working on the more modern Halo entries like Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite. It's reported that they're working on a new game mode for Halo Infinite and that they're deepening their relationship with Microsoft. Back in February 2021, Certain Affinity posted this whole thing on their website, saying how excited they were to start on their new IPs. No longer were they going to be a support studio, they were going to step out of the shadows into the limelight and do their own video games like a big grown-up studio. Not too long after that, Jeff Grubb over on his Grub Snack show said that Certain Affinity was teaming up with Microsoft in order to make an Xbox Monster Hunter clone that was going to be exclusive to Xbox consoles. This led a lot of people to think, oh, this new IP that Certain Affinity was talking about on their website must be this Monster Hunter clone. Later on, Jez Corden and Windows Central stepped in and said, yes, we can confirm via our sources that this Certain Affinity thing, the Monster Hunter clone thing that they're working on from Microsoft, is real. It's working under the codename Project Suerte. Jeff Grubb says they're working with Certain Affinity on what seems like a Monster Hunter style game, a Monster Hunter clone. They see this gameplay style succeeding, and Microsoft's like, hey, we should try to make one of those. Is anyone out there gonna pitch one? VGC further updated this, saying that Project Suerte has reportedly been in development since 2020. They're looking to reveal it in 2023 and officially release the game in 2024 if everything goes right. Now, even if there's no connection to Xbox with this senior graphics engineer job listing that Certain Affinity put out, we know that they're looking to beef up staff. That original post that they put on their website saying, we're so excited to work on IPs, mentioned that they were looking for new talent, and we can assume that whatever talent they bring in, they will most likely be working on this Monster Hunter clone Project Suerte thing. It's very exciting, especially when you consider that Monster Hunter is not on Game Pass. It's available on Xbox right now, Monster Hunter World, and it'd be awesome to have a game like that to further diversify Game Pass's offering. But Game Pass is looking pretty diverse right now, guys, in the terms of games that it offers. You got RPGs, you got shooters, you got racing games, you got flying games, you got platformers, you got strategy games, you got narrative-based games, you got all sorts of stuff. Considering all this hubbub, all signs point to Certain Affinity and Microsoft having a good relationship. They're continuing to work on Halo. They're developing this new IP for them, probably. So that begs the question, why doesn't Microsoft just straight out buy Certain Affinity? Why don't they just acquire them? And the answer to that is, I don't know, because I am just a dude with a YouTube channel. But last I heard, Tencent Games had some sort of stake in Certain Affinity. Yes, Tencent Games, the boogeyman of the video game industry, so I don't know how that would work out if Microsoft wanted to acquire Certain Affinity. Now, if you're watching, you're probably familiar with the structure of Game Pass. For a monthly fee, you get access to a library of games. The first-party Xbox Studios games stay on there permanently. So games like Forza, Halo, Psychonauts, all the Bethesda games, those stay on there permanently. But every month, Game Pass gets a rotating list of third-party games, and then they also take some out to make room for the new stuff. Yes, as I like to say, Game Pass giveth and Game Pass taketh away. Let us take a moment of silence for the games that are leaving the service this month on the 15th. Now, some of these hurt less than others. For example, MLB The Show 2021 is leaving Game Pass, but we just got MLB The Show 2022, so that's not really too bad. The Long Dark leaving stings a little bit. This is something that I've been meaning to play for a while now, and I just have not gotten around to it. It's like a really cool looking survival game where you're like in the frozen tundra, looks like Alaska or like Antarctica or something like that. And you just have to survive the cold and all the threats that Mother Nature throws at you. And that's it, but it looks really awesome. They seem to update it pretty frequently. And although it's older, it's a couple years older, it's been reviewed very well. Everyone on Steam seems to have really good things about it. For example, this review right here, I died, then I died less. Then I killed a wolf and ate it. Then I killed a bear and made a hat out of its face. Now, as a reminder, you have two options when it comes to these games. You can either just binge play through these up until the 15th when they leave the service, or you can use your Game Pass discount to buy any of these games if you just can't bear to part with them. The Long Dark, for example, is a game that's usually pretty cheap. I think it's usually like $20. With your Game Pass discount, it's gonna be even cheaper, so it might be worth checking out. Now, we got another digital sale going on at the Microsoft Store, this time for spring, and there's no better way to celebrate the fresh spring weather than holing up in your room and playing a bunch of video games. Now, this sale is pretty serious. You can check out the full link down in the description below, but it's something like 39 pages long. They got some pretty crazy discounts going on. For example, Tomb Raider, the definitive edition, is on sale for $3 right now. $3. Now, if you like action, third-person games, exploratory games like Uncharted, then you'll definitely like this. At the time when it came out, it got a 9.1 on IGN, and they called it amazing. Rise of the Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Tomb Raider are also on sale, and they also have a bundle that's on sale as well. Get all 3 games for $20. You got The Sims 4 on sale. Now this is on sale for like $4, and it is perfect if you have a romantic partner like my wife who likes to play games but not the quote-unquote scary shooty games. Overcooked 2 is on sale for $6, and I highly recommend this as a really fun, chaotic co-op experience. By the time you play it with your friend or, like I said, your partner, then chances are you're probably either gonna hate them, you're gonna be yelling at each other, or you're gonna come closer as a result of playing this game. Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep is only $5 right now, so if you're playing through Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and you're like, hey man, I want more of this, I want to check out the origins of this, I definitely suggest picking this up. We Happy Few is discounted pretty heavily right now. Usually it's $60, right now it's $6. It is a survival crafting game that was pretty big a few years ago, where everyone is like hopped up on the psychedelic drug that makes them think that their terrible, awful surroundings are like really rosy and just pleasant and dainty. Control is also $9 right now, and if you were to only buy one game from the sale, buy Control. This game was so fun and unsettling, but in the best way. The Witcher 3 Complete Edition is only $10 right now, and I mean, come on, this is one of my favorite games of all time, and for $10 you get the game and all the DLC that they came out with. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is $15 right now, discounted from $60. The Complete Edition for For Honor, and this is a crazy discount, apparently goes for $100 usually, and right now it's being sold for $25. Again, these are just the games that stand out to me, but you can check out the full list down in the description below. You have until the 21st to capitalize on these deals, so go, do it now. Brad Sams, tech YouTuber, journalist, godfather of the Xbox mini fridge, he believes that Xbox is pretty far along in developing a new, more efficient silicon chip for the Series X. While that sounds super fancy and awesome, whoa, a new GPU, all these new possibilities, that's crazy. Brad Sams was pretty quick to manage expectations. He says, whenever this new chip rolls out, do not expect any significant game improvements, and chances are they're gonna probably use the same tower, the same blueprint for the Series X, so it's gonna look the same, just with a different chip. This is very interesting timing because it comes right on the heels of this mysterious new SKU that's been discovered, Project Keystone. Some people think, oh, it's a new Xbox, it's some new hardware. Other people like Jez Corden, they're like, no, it's like a new bit of software that might be running on future Xbox consoles. We don't know. Whatever Project Keystone turns out to be, chances are it's probably gonna be a little bit more significant than this new chip that you're probably not even gonna notice anything different about it. We talked about this in a previous video, but Jeff Grubb at one point said that he knew that Xbox or Microsoft was gonna reveal some new bit of hardware in 2022, but that it was gonna be something that not a lot of people expected. So the obvious stuff like a new controller, new console, new I don't know, VR headset, it probably didn't fall into that category. Following that line of logic, something that we wouldn't expect, this new efficient chip that is apparently in the works at Xbox seems to fit in that category a little bit more. In talking with my more tech-savvy friends, like I said, I'm not really like a nitty-gritty hardware guy, they said that it's quite possible that they can use this new chip, this more efficient version of the chip, in a more slimmed down version of the Series X, perhaps an all-digital version of the Series X. This would be awesome for a number of reasons. Right now, the only digital option right now for next-gen Xbox consoles is the Series S, and I love the Series S, don't get me wrong, and I know a lot of you love and adore your Series S as well. Of course that would be better, right? A smaller, a little bit cheaper Xbox Series X that's all digital but still has the same power, the same meat, the same premium capabilities as the Xbox Series X. And yes, while we're not 100% sure that Microsoft is indeed working on a more efficient version of their GPU, it would make a lot of sense considering what's going on in the world right now. We know that there is a huge supply issue in making these GPUs, so it makes a lot of sense for Microsoft to say, hey, let's find a way to do it cheaper with less materials and do sort of like a refresh like PS5 did last year and make a chip that requires less cooling, so you can maybe make the Xbox Series X smaller, make it more efficient, make it so it doesn't require as much silicon, things like that.